So here we are at 105 degrees. We're getting ready to begin Annie's hands-on Annie's Raw Essential class. And look at this crowd. Check it out. There's not an empty seat in the house. She's packing it out, as she should. Hello! And there's the beautiful goddess. There's Lydia, and there's Annie right there.
Class for you tonight. All the way from California is Annie Phyo. So I don't think any more introductions are necessary, so I'm going to go ahead and let her start. But thank you again for coming and enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you. Wow. And thank you, Haley, for helping me. She set up all my ingredients and got me ready for the class. And thank you guys all for coming out. Is everyone from Oklahoma? I know that Penny's from Tulsa. But where did you guys all? Australia.
I'm from Australia.
You came all the way from
I
Australia.
did. I heard you were here. I thought, wow, you get the prize for coming first.
I was going to ask. So I was like, I wonder who came the furthest. Because there's some people from Thailand that came to my workshop in January in Phuket. And they were trying to get here, but I think they're actually going to come to 105 in a week. So they're missing it by a week because they already pre-booked their tickets. So yeah, I think you win the prize. That's awesome. So everyone else is from Oklahoma? Oklahoma City? Locally? Cool. Wonderful. I'm so glad to be back again. It's been about 9 months since the opening celebrations, and I've been so excited to be here, so thanks for joining me. And I see it's all girls. He actually kept himself alive, over a decade longer than any of the doctors ever guessed. So I've experienced it firsthand, the power of eating this way. And when I was raised on the raw food diet, in my new book, Essentials, I label it Raw Food 1.0, just sort of mimicking Web 1.0, but it was about functional food. So I always tease my mom, but it literally was, we had an organic garden, and whatever was ripe, we would pick it, and then she'd put it all into the blender, or juicer, and juice it. So it turned like mud sludge puke green, and it would taste awful, and my brother and I would hold our noses and drink it down. But that's how I was raised on all this functional food. And then, I guess like around mid-90s, I got taken to a raw restaurant in San Francisco. It was Juliana's restaurant. And as soon as and now it's in LA. But as soon as I walked in, it was like the aroma. You walk into a place like this, it's 105, you can smell the fresh herbs and spices, all the life, the fragrance, the vitality. And the food was beautiful, it smelled amazing, it was plated lovely, it tasted delicious, and then that night when I went home, I couldn't sleep. I had so much energy and mental clarity, and I could focus, and I actually had a presentation the next morning. I stayed up all night working on my presentation, I gave my presentation at 9 o'clock. The whole next day I was fine. I didn't have like a hangover from not sleeping. Like even today, I actually woke up at my time, 3 o'clock, which is actually your time, 5 o'clock, but I've been awake since 3 o'clock my time, and I feel fine, So after realizing that, noticing that night, was when I said to myself, oh my gosh, what is in this food? I need to find out what this is about. How come I can have so much mental clarity, be so productive, be able to focus, get so much work done, but still feel good? So in time, as I started learning more about it and preparing more of it for myself, it was really for the functional aspect or the productivity level aspect. I noticed over time that I didn't get sick ever. I also didn't need as much sleep. And as I started making more and more of the food, everywhere I go, to potlucks or friends' houses, I always bring my food, and people would always be intrigued. They're like, what is that? And I explain, oh, that's a cobbler, but it has nuts and dates and mango, some coconut. And they're like, and then they wait for me to say, well, you bake it. And then they finally ask, well, how did you cook it or bake it? And I'd be like, it's not baked, just use assemble it. And then it would blow their mind finally. They'd be like, oh my God, it's not cooked. Yeah, it's not cooked, so you can eat it right away. You don't have to wait. You're not dirtying up the pan that you have to soak with dried on stuff. And so that's really how I guess I just started making more and more of it. People started asking me to make them food, to bring food. And then I was in LA at one point, and there was no raw restaurants yet, but there was only maybe like 3 or 4 chefs at the time. So each of us chose a different night of the week. And since I had a corporate day job, they always gave me the weekends. So I would do like Saturday night dinners or Sunday morning brunch. And that became really successful. It grew to like 50 and then soon 100, over 100 people every week. And after a while I realized, I'm like, why am I making these large corporations that like one corporation I was working for was a studio in LA, and I used to be a media designer, so I was doing convergence television and internet, and they were chilling the buildings to sub-zero. It was so cold that you couldn't even type because your fingers were freezing, and people would wear jackets inside, and it was during the rolling blackouts, so we were having an energy crisis, but yet they were over chilling. And then the break rooms had styrofoam cups, the little 4-ounce ones, and people were taking like a swig of water, a shot basically of water, and throwing away styrofoam, and they weren't recycling. So at a certain point, I'm like, wow, my weekend business I did it for fun because I loved it, and it was really for selfish reasons, because then I would have food leading up to it for several days, and then afterwards I had food left over for several days, right? So it was food that I would never make for myself. It was like super complex. It would take days and days to prepare. So it's really for selfish reasons, so that I would just have food available all the time for myself. But that's when I sort of realized, wow, I think that if I just focused on the raw part, I could make it work. And so that's sort of my story of how I started eating 180.